Good afternoon, good evening, depending on your time zones. My name is Ekaterina Nikitina, and I will be moderating today's webinar. Thank you for joining the Meetings Beyond Borders. This is an international project of the Sreda Obuchenia High School that attracts artists, theoreticians, and curators from the whole world. It's our 8th meeting in the cycle, which started in October. All the recordings are available on YouTube on our channel. And today we're happy to greet Marina Abramovic in our virtual hall. She's an artist who created seminal performance works in the 70s and 80s, and she's the founder of modern performance in a way. She's often called an endurance artist. She was uh, stretching her limits, physical and intellectual, feeling pain, starvation, and fear in order to reach emotional and spiritual transformation. In 2020, her autobiography, Walk Through Walls, was translated into Russian, and her recent retrospective exhibition was the Cleaner Project, which launched in Stockholm in 2017. In September last year, Marina Abramovic uh, made her performance Seven Deaths of Maria Callas in the Bavarian Opera, which can now be seen in various other halls across the world. And in 2023, the Afterlife exhibition at the Royal Academy of Arts will take place, and Marina Abramovic will become the first artist to take the whole space of the gallery in the 250 years of its existence. In this lecture on performance, Marina will be talking about the connections of this art form to other art media. And before we start, I'd like to thank all the viewers who came up with their questions beforehand. And if you want to ask questions today, please write them in the broadcast chat. It's time for us to start. Marina, the floor is yours.
Hello, everybody. Sorry that this is remote, still the lecture. I wish more than anything to be right there in Russia with the real public and talk about performance, which is, of course, my favorite subject. So I'm going to start now. I was really thinking when I deliver this lecture to you, what would be the right title? And I'd like to that actually uh, thinking about large public that they're listening right now, who is not always clear what performance art is, and there's so many misunderstanding, and then also the even the visual artists misunderstood performance for stand-up comedy, for the theater, for the dance, for the the film, and what I'm talking about very specific performance art, who actually, if I will ask, to define what performance is, I will say performance is construction that an artist made in a very precise space and time in the front of audience where the energy dialogue going to happen between performer and audience. And the audience is extremely important part of performance because the unity between audience and performer create the work itself. Have to be energy dialogue that is essential that that kind of a message can go through. Performance is very immaterial form of art. You can touch it, you can hang on the wall, you can have it like a sculptural presence. All what you have is actually emotional response and the memory after performance was finished. After performance is finished, that memory, if performance is very strong and very kind of um, impressive and emotional effect on you, then you would tell to your friends about. Your friends would hear about and tell another friends, and that would be like living kind of legend, like really like word of mouth. If you think that Aborigine cultures never been written one word about Aborigine culture, but because of that kind of transformation of the knowledge through the generations, exists 30,000 years. So we could say that the performance, if it's good one, have a very, very long life. So I like very much to start with this statement of Bruce Nauman, who is a really very good American artist, who said, the art is a matter of life and death. This may be melodramatic, but it's also true. Um, whatever we do, doesn't matter it's a performance or anything, in art, we have to have this attitude that we are doing this not 100%, but 150%. That 50% extra of the 100 actually make all the difference. You have to take it really as a matter of life and death. Give every single atom of your energy, every molecule of your being into the work, and then the public can feel that energy and they can really, understand the message on the deepest level possible. So talking about performance, I choose kind of interesting approach to show you how it's not just that we can perform with the entire body, we can also perform with the parts of our body. So performing body it's kind of my own, the vision of the different parts of the body, how can be performed and called performance. You can perform just with the head, with your legs, with your stomach, with your eye, and so on. Because of limit of time, I just show you a few elements. So here it's what we do with the head. I start with the very simple Constantin Brancusi sleeping muse. And when you see that, you say, okay, but this is a sculpture. Yes, it's a sculpture. And this that specific head could actually inspire a performance artist to do something with the head as the performing material. Brancusi was also important artist to me because in the past he had one sentence that for me become very important inspiration. He said, it's not important what are you doing. That means in a very large scale, we are not talking about art or anything, but we can talk anything. Can we talk about politics? We can talk about writing, filmmaking, uh, cleaning the floor in a household, teacher. What is important is from which state of mind we are doing what are we doing. That state of mind defines everything. And concentration, is key point of performance. I could talk a little later about this. So let's see now what we have here. Melati Suridamo, she's Indonesian artist, performance artist. She come a lot for the Buddha tradition. And he make very simple handpiece. I just show you what he done. It's not just a headpiece. It's about the receiving and transforming the sound of your ear. And as you see it isolated, looking Brancusi, it's just one single cat performing. Next piece, completely different, is an Ezaket Ekechi. She's a Turkish artist, and she made an interesting piece. The Turkish export is a belly dance, and it's so many restaurants and bars. When you have, Turkish people traveling, especially women will do this belly dance and entertain the public. And thinking about her heritage and the way how she wear her clothes, she take a very simple thing like a hula hoop, but she's dancing with the hula hoop on the Turkish belly dance music, and really giving completely another reading of that performance. You can see political, you can see feminist, you can see restriction of the female rights, and so many different things. So let's look. It's a very strong and emotional statement and really takes you with you. When I was thinking how to actually uh, conceive this lecture to the audience, Russian audience, I was thinking also to give them access to different, very different cultures. The first headpiece was an Indonesian artist. The second one is Turkish. And the last one, the headpiece is Christian Thompson, who is actually the first Oxford graduate and with a doctor degree Aborigine artist. And it's very moving for me, this this work, because he actually is singing on forgotten language of his tribe, and at the same time holding, the British flag, which talk about, the invasion and very strong political statement. Look at this. Mayara gandu mambu mura nagaku. Nagani kumbara peri muntu wuku aja. Kuruku aja. Kuruku aja. Kuruku aja. Kuruku aja. Arina langu kundu paraku. Wanjawaga Mayara gandu mambunguna nagaku. Nagani gumbere peri muntu wuku aja. Kuruku aja. Kuruku aja. Kuruku aja. Kuruku aja.
nagaku. Nagani kumbera beri muntu buku aja. Kurubuku aja. Kurubuku aja. Kurubuku aja. Kurubuku aja. Arina langu gandu baragu. Wanyawaga. Mayara gandu mambuguna nagaku. Nagani kumbera beri muntu buku aja. Kurubuku aja. Kurubuku aja. Kurubuku aja. Kurubuku aja. Arina langu gandu baragu. Wanyawaga. Mayara gandu mambununa nagaku.
Now, from head, let's see what we can do with eyes. I choose two actually extracts for that piece. One is Luis Buñuel and Salvatore Dali, the film from 1929. And this is a very interesting combination of artist and filmmaker. And also they've been, this entire movie been actually sponsored and paid by the, Buñuel mother. And kind of quite interesting material where it was very dramatic scene that everybody react when actually with the incredible great editing, when he's sharpening the knife and see how the moon is passing on the sky and the little cloud crossing in the middle of the moon. And he just positioned this with the idea of cutting actually dead cow eye. But we know this is dead cow eye, but we still have emotional reaction to it. And after that, um, not exactly inspired by this material, but interesting what I can do with just one eye. This is my own eye. And I took my own body like a landscape. And I took like a pupil of the eye like a lake. And that needle hook crossing and never touching the eye, actually creating the shadow, can tell the story. So it's just, performing with one eye. And the music is Charlemagne Palestine, who is another performance artist who I asked to create the kind of almost shamanistic chanting while I'm doing this section. And he's doing it actually at the same time I am doing mine. So it's almost collaboration piece. So now I'd like to show you a few, inspirational moments that I think is very important also thinking about performance art. This is Umberto Boccioni, And this is a futurist artist from Italy, and is made a sculpture in 1913. And which I love about is that he actually tried to create impression of the movement and to sculpture the space and the energy. So this is, as you see, it's a body in action, is in a walking, but at the same time, with energy leaving behind, it's in a little wings out of this body, which is he create kind of movement in the space. And the performance is all about energy and it's all about movement and it's about transformation of that energy. So to me, looking at this Boccioni early futurist work, it's really inspiration. The next one is Piero Mazzoni, and he made this very simple piece also in the 60s. He came from the Arte Povera movement, and this is a breath of an artist. You know that actually he just have the balloon and breathe the air, close the balloon, expose in that way, create a multiple as a breath of an artist. So the breath of the artist is so immaterial as performance itself. So this is for me a very inspirational piece also. Then the same artist, Piero Manzoni, creates the artist sheet. And this is a multiple, and there's a lots of funny story about that. Because there was once the French artist decided that ask his galleries to buy the multiple, which is not cheap at all because exists only small, I think, small group of the pieces, maybe 20 cans. And legendary. This is a sheet of artists. Like he had the breath of artists. Now we have a sheet. And this gallerist for the artist bought this can, and he invited the public, and he want to open this can in the front of the public and really verify what is in this can. So he did this, and when he opened the can, he found another little can, and he decided not to open. He said, "My action was only to open the first can. Second can is nothing to do with me." So we still don't know what really is there. So the idea of imagination, it's kind of inspiring for me, this too. And again, the same Anzoni, artist who signed the model as his artwork. And this is really act of performative act. Much later, we have the Irish artist, Almada Cogan, in 2001, who signed her own body after Manzoni and claimed her own body as an art piece. So performance influences so many different forms of art. The dance is really the very strong, because and there are few people who really made impact on that. I just want to start with a very simple solo of Tim Buckley uh, from Los Angeles, who actually create performative and funny statement what dance can be.
Legs are rooted to the ground. Your breath is deep. Your spine is long. Your eyes are soft. Your jaw is slack. Your mind is empty. Your face is a book. Your hair is growing. Your lips are moist. Your shoulders are heaving. Your ears are burning. Your teeth are clenched. Your ass is brass. Your hips are cocked. Your calves are veal. Your thighs are dripping. Your lover is leaving. Your heart is hard. Your brain is soft. Your time is up. Your house is on fire. Your life is over. Your death awaits you. And plie.
So after that, uh, Anna Teresa de Kesmacher, the Belgium dancers, very performative and very long durational and physically involved dance. Then I think one of the most important, all of it, that somebody I really love, and not just love, but incredibly respect what she done with the dance and in relation to performance is definitely Pina Bausch. The Pina Bausch said that the dance for her is everything. The dance is standing. The dance is smoking a cigarette. The dance is opening, closing the window. The dance is dancing in the mud. The dance is dancing in the snow. She take the real elements and put the dancers in real situations, and from that real situations come emotions, and it's very, very strong impact. This is just a short part of Plage de Kaiserin, the part of the movie when dancers dance in the mud. As you see, dressed in a kind of almost Playboy clothes. By putting dancers in extreme situation, the story is made out of this emotional impact. This one, Dancing in the Snow, for me is extremely strong.
Let down the leaves and let the black body swinging in the southern breeze. Strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees. Pastoral scene of the gallant South. The bulging eyes and the twisted mouth scent of magnolia, sweet and fresh. Then the sudden smell of burning flesh. Here is a fruit for the crows to pluck, for the rain to drop.
So it's not easy to actually really get to the bottom what performance can be and how they influence different parts of the forms of art. But what I'm showing now to you in this lecture is not about my work. It's really about the work in the larger scale. There's so many interesting materials, there's so many interesting artists who are dealing with performance, transforming it, this media, giving new propositions, new aspects, and inspiring, and have this huge impact of inspiring the audience to see life and the world in different way. And the same thing with performance art and music. The one thing that I will show to you, to me, it's a very interesting example of Laurie Anderson, Because Laurie Anderson, she's a performance artist, visual artist. She also makes objects and lately paintings. But when she composed Superman, this was the first time that visual art she became on the first list of the top list of the singers that year, and Warner Brothers signed the contract with her. This was never happened before. So, and this song became like, popular and sing all over the world. So to me, it's a phenomena that Superman, that this performance actually exit the very seclusive, um, kind of scene or performance into much larger audience.
Oh, Superman. Oh, John. Oh, Mom and Dad. Mom and Dad. Oh, Superman. Oh, John. Oh, Mom and Dad. Mom and Dad. Hi. I'm not home right now.
The performance is 8 minutes. We don't have this time, but you can see it on YouTube, the full length, and it's very interesting to see how still actually is fresh even these days. Another thing that's interesting is a kind of crossing between performance and music is this um, chorus. Oh, sorry. Oh my God. Sorry. I don't know how to go back. Wait. Okay. I missed one. Sorry. I'm really complicated. So let's just go the influence of performance art and film. The performance have influence everywhere. If you just open a simple MTV, you will see so much. If you open the fashion show, you will see influences of performance. If you look designer shops, if you look into the fashion magazines, you see performance. The performance influence lots of different categories of people. Wait, why is not moving? Stop. Something is written stop to share. Wait. Todd? I have to call somebody. Oh my God, sorry for that. Oh no, okay. To me, one of the biggest inspiration is Sergei Parajanov. This is my personal inspiration. He's a Georgian, a Romanian filmmaker. And this film called, Scholar of Pomegranate is something that recently, actually, when Lady Gaga did the workshop with me, I showed to her the film, and she got entire series of her latest work inspired by Parajanov. I just want to share one image with you.
Զիգիրքն հոգի է և կյանք, թե գրյանքը չլիներին, ապա աշխարհս ամեն իդիգիվություն անկաներ։ Կարդացեք իրսելի ժողովրդյան, հոգուտ, քանզի ամեն մարդ չկարե ուսանիլ իգրել։
There is something like he really create almost tableau vivant, of the images, and each image could be seen as a single isolated performance. The next one is Matthew Barney, who actually relate performance and film in his work. And this is one of just of the parts of Cremasters from 1997. He created 5 of Cremasters and can be all seen on YouTube. And it's very complex with lots of American references. Matthew Barney, artist. Another interesting artist, he's an Italian Canadian, Marco Brambilla. And which I like about his work to me is like if you think about Iranian or Turkish carpet, so that's what he made out of cinema. To build this image, he have 4,000 movies together placed. And look what happened. This kind of work, it's mostly very large projections in very large spaces because it's hundreds of little details and all these small films isolated in this huge mosaic. All right, so now I have just one example. Influence of performance art in fashion is huge because mostly, the fashion artists look into performance artists and some of them take literally the influences and images. But one person for me is the very, very original and actually create his own style and own image is it was the Lee Bowery. So Lee Bowery, um, I I just have a very short piece of him, but he created his own clothes and he really, especially in the 80s and the 90s, he influenced very much underground nightclub culture, not just in London, but in Berlin and New York, and then many other people, who went through these steps. And so to me, if I would decide about the entire world of humans, I will have two categories. I will have originals and one who are following. Originals in any category. So to me, Lee Bowery is true original.
I'm going to buy a few little luxuries which I'm finding rather hard to live without at the moment. I'm sporting a rather angular, geometric, rather aggressive print today with a few thousand sequins scattered across it. I think it'll be perfect to do a little bit of shopping. Well, here we are today, as you might expect, at the world's finest department store, where I'm going to buy a few little luxuries which I'm finding rather hard to live without at the moment. I'm sporting a rather angular, geometric, rather aggressive print today with a few thousand sequins scattered across it. I think it'll be perfect to do a little bit of shopping. You'll be seeing this look and many others later on in the show. So until then, and here we find ourselves at afternoon tea time. Where else? The beautiful Georgian restaurant, where I've been coming for many, many moons since I was a small boy. The staff here adore me. This rather beautiful outfit I'm wearing is a silk fabric with a floral print in reds, purples, and blues. That's a scattering of rather indiscreet little sequins here and there, and I've lined it in beautiful watermelon satin. This is another one of my autumn predictions. It's a beautiful garment which has these rather strong satin flowers swimming in a sea of sequins. And I've teamed this outfit with sequin gloves and sequin tights.
Eileen. Hello.
Karen!
You look brilliant.
Join the club.
Yeah, what have you got on this time?
Well, I'm wearing a...
And so on and so on. Just the idea of his incredible outfits and how much work is to make them. Anyway, he died in 90s, and his influence on the fashion is still everywhere. So, community, social, and political awareness, performance art. This is a lecture by itself, and I just want to show you one work, Regina Jose Galiando, and no comment. Sometimes to tell the story and get emotions out of the story, you don't need the words. So that spirituality, impermanence, body limits, energy transformation, premonition of that. This is a very, very large subject for performance, because in my case also, it was very important for me to push mental and physical limits as far as I can go to actually create the spiritual transformation and create a kind of transition into different state of mind. The one very, very moving performance that I saw in 2015 is Arison Haratzlito, who is a Brazilian artist, and is really about slavery. And this is the work that I was emotionally touched.
Eu trago a memória dos maus tratos. Eu trago em cena essa ideia desse holocausto que foi a escravidão. E eu comecei a pensar um corpo, né? Um corpo que tivesse uma certa conexão com essa história, com esse passado, com esses fantasmas. Surgiu a ideia da carne, né? Da carne de charque, uma carne mista, né? Mestiça, entre gordura e carne. Aí eu pensei na carne justamente como uma metáfora deste corpo de homens que foram escravizados. A dor e a ferida da escravidão negra, né, no mundo não diz respeito apenas aos afro-brasileiros, afro-americanos, os escravos descendentes ou os homens que foram escravizados. E eu convido essas pessoas justamente para viver esse processo. O ato físico, né, de marcar a ferro em brasa um corpo trouxe e despertou memórias muito antigas. Então é o cheiro, né, é o som da carne assando e é a combustão e que tocam na ferida. Nesta ferida que para mim deve ser transmutada pela arte, estetizada, mas nunca esquecida. E transformar a energia desses fantasmas, desses espíritos todos de mortos, que na Bahia a gente chama de Egum, né, em uma energia revolucionária, uma energia positiva e transformadora. Ver isso, ouvir isso, estar presente disso, me ensinou coisas que a literatura e que a história não me ensinou, não foi tão eficiente nos seus relatos, nas suas descrições. Meu maior objetivo enquanto performer, enquanto pessoa, é buscar justamente curas.
So, I think one of the most, for me, masters of performance in general, and I really think that he is the best performance artist in the world, is definitely Te Ching. He's a Taiwanese artist, and he only made 5 performances in his life. But these 5 performances are mind-blowing. And each performance was 1 entire year. You know, I made long durational work, but my long durational work is maximum 3 months. I never anything made even close to this, what he done. And one thing is important when you talk about art is that artists always like to put everything inside one work. And always there's something missing. And this is why we are going to studio and make new work and go, you know, and perform another performance and another one, because there's always something incomplete. But after he performed his work every year, 5 years, he stopped working. And I was asking him, I mean, he didn't perform any more live. So I was very intrigued by this. And I asked him, but what happened? And he said, and what are you doing now? I said, to me, now I'm doing live. When he said that, I understood on the deepest level that he really transformed. Performance is about transformation. It's about you know, changing your mindset. It's about understanding life, where we come from, what it's all about, and really learning to live here and now. And he convinced me after these 5 performances that this transition he made truly, and what he's doing now is life, is living every day fully. So the 5 performances he made, this is the first one. Wait, I have to, okay, I show to you, and then he actually punched the clock in 1 year, every hour. The punch, when you go to work, you have the clock to punch. And, you know, just to show that the worker in the factory, what time you're arriving. So he done that every year, every hour, 1 year. I have punched the time clock in my studio every hour, an hour for 1 year. That means that he could not sleep longer than one hour, that he could not be away from the clock 1 hour, that he completely organized his entire life in 1 hour. And this you can see that he actually record every single hour, 1 second. And what you see now, in 4 minutes, entire year in front of you. And how his, you know, hair is growing and the change. And this is one of the most honest work of art recorded that I ever saw. But dedication, control, self-discipline is immense. 1 hour, 1 year, every hour doing this, it's almost unthinkable for the contemporary human beings of 21st century. To me, long duration performance art is the actually key to transformation, mental, physical, intellectual, in every possible way. Because become life itself. And you understand actually the whole idea of living here and now, not in the past, not in the future, but in the moment. What you see now, it's condensed 1 year, every hour punching the clock. With precision, dedication, and never missing once. We have a limited time. I'm going to stop this, and it's going on like this till hair is really long, and go to the next piece. The next piece is actually his first piece, early piece, was made in 1978 to 1979. He created this cage. It's so interesting talking about the COVID these days and seeing this piece from 78. He created an entire cage in his living room with a bed and the sink with the water coming, and and actually the bucket that he will, go to the toilet. And he have a friend who bring him once a day food, an empty bucket, and bring the water. One entire year, he didn't talk to anybody. I didn't do absolutely nothing except being there. No reading, no writing, no listening to music, nothing, no interacting. This is like a kind of prison that you prescribe yourself in order to be in this moment in your life. This is easy to look, extremely difficult to do. When I ask him about this piece, and I say, but how you actually manage 1 year to be in that kind of, you know, the limited space? He said, I developed the method. When I sit on far left side of the bed, I'm in my bedroom. When I sit in the middle of the bed, I'm in my living room. When I sit on the far right side of my bed, I'm in the garden. And he actually traveled in his mind. I was always thinking about three ideal physical spaces that, that in thinking about, being here and now. One is a prison, one is a sanatorium, and one is a monastery. Prison is not good because your freedom is taken away. So it's a forced solitude. Uh, Monastery, the sanatorium, again, not good because you're sick. But monastery, it's kind of really something that you do with your own willpower. But he create this piece, this cage, it create a kind of monastery in his own living room in the middle of New York. It's a mind-blowing piece. Uh, there's the clock that we just saw, that, next clock that you have to do every hour. And then he made another year from 81 to 82 that he promised himself that he will never be indoor, that he will live as a homeless one entire year in New York. And he never took the shelter of any kind, not go to subway shelter or in the kind of entrance of the building, absolutely outdoor, which is a really, summers are extremely hot and the winters are freezing and snow. To do that, he had to organize that. Actually, he had a plan of New York where he can put small amount of monies that he can buy the coffee and buy the food from always stands outside, wash on the river and stuff like that, but never took a shelter entire year. And then the last piece, 1 year piece, is that he had the Linda Montano, another artist, that actually they are not having any relationship and they didn't even hardly know each other, but they decide together they will be tied with one rope one entire year and just do whatever activities they do, but always tied with one rope and creating this limited space between each other. And I was there in 1984 in the New Museum in New York when they cut the rope. It was a very emotional moment. So this is my presentation of all different types of performances in dance, in fashion, in film, influences, long durational work, and so on. So this is something that is my own archive material, which I like, and I was happy to share with all of you. Now I'm ready for some questions.
Марина, да, спасибо огромное.
Thank you so much, Marina. I would like to express my gratitude on behalf of the listeners. We're seeing streams of thank yous in the chat of the broadcast. And if I may, I'd like to start with a short commentary that came to my mind when I was listening to you to kind of summarize what you said. Performance as a pure expression of it, as an existence, as a coming outside of oneself, transforming oneself and transcending limits. What we want to know about performance is that performance is life. And maybe Heidegger would have changed his opinion if he saw this. He would say that existence expresses itself in performance and not just in poetry and art and sound. Each performance that we saw here is a kind of an exit from oneself, transcending one's boundaries. The body reaches its limits. And as I understand it, we're not talking about a superman, but rather about everyday life, coming back to oneself, the importance of everyday presence, this everyday movement, chores, eating cherries, cleaning the floor, as Jolanta Brachchain wrote in her book. And as far as I understand, dance in discussing performance is important because dance is also the foundation of everything. And Spinozan ethics also appeals to this. Ideas that come to me are now quotes from Nietzsche, who was able to believe only in a dancing god. And my question against this background is the following. You were discussing these subjects in the context of a female body, mainly. Would you agree with the statement that woman is a special domain that corresponds to this facet of existence that you described? It's a body open to metamorphosis, to becoming a machine, to becoming an animal, to becoming an insect. What do you feel about this feminist interpretation of the female body? Was it hard for you to start your career in performance as a woman? Have things changed since then? Is gender an important subject for you when you talk about performance? Thank you.
First of all, gender is not important for me, and the female aspect also not important, because I also in many interviews state very clearly I'm not feminist, and I always say that I am born in female body, but and I'm doing and I'm an artist, but I don't say female artist, I don't say male artist, I don't say transgender artist, I don't say gay or lesbian. I'm saying artist because I truly believe that art doesn't have gender. There's only two categories: good art, bad art, no gender. That's my approach. But one thing that I have to tell you, considering the pain, there is just the fact that the woman can give a birth and go through incredible extreme pain is a very painful experience that man doesn't have. So maybe the tolerance to pain women have more than men. This is possible to argue about that. And also, which is important to me about performance, that everything is real. The energy is real. The pain is real. The knife is real. The blood is real. You really work with this reality, which actually is removed in theater and become props, but not in performance. And that kind of reality, you really go into deep yourself, and you go really to true transformation, because you as I said in the beginning of this presentation, like Bruce Nauman said, the art is a matter of life and death, and this performance is very much into matter of life and death in so many ways.
To continue our talk, I'd like to now ask a question that has come from one of our listeners, Alina. Do performances have ethical borders? And how can performances be related to the ideas of tolerance and care for others' feelings?
Okay, this is a very important subject, and really you can't generalize. You have to go from case to case. I just want to say in the 70s, and the 60s, the fluxus and happening, and then later on conceptual art and the performance art, there was done things so radical, so far out, that with our relation to the morality and ethics today, it would not be possible at all. It's now the society becomes so suspicious about everything. You can't even tell dirty jokes anymore that you're not crucified somehow in the press. So I always feel that kind of restrictions that become, everything so consciously, radically correct, took creativity of the art. because artists have to be free, have to have the free expression, and have to really have the free vision of the world. And many times it is not in exactly in relation with the society vision of the world and political vision of the world at the time. But that kind of freedom is very important. But also in my case, I like to always talk about my case and not to generalize so much, is that I knew, I open also the territory of reperformance, that people can reperform my work. And I give him permission for that. But I am not giving permission to any work who is in danger of your life or is in danger of your body in any way. I will not give this kind of restriction, this kind of permission, because I think that I have my freedom on my own body, but other people, I will not give them permission to do the same if this is dangerous. So, and morality has changed. Every society has different morality. It's if you think about morality in Greeks and Roman, there was sexual orgies everywhere, and there was no problem. Now everything is different. So we have to kind of see in society we live what's possible, what's not possible. I mean, in my part, I was born in communism in Tito time. I remember that for a really bad political joke, you get 4 years prison. For the political joke against the President Tito, you get 6 years of prison. So, you have to see your limits.
Thank
Спасибо.
you. And now we've got a question that comes close to the subject of life and death. A question from Arseniy Zhilyaev, a Russian artist. Question of immortality. You problematize the borders between the living and the non-living in your performance. You threaten your own life in some of your performances. And this leads us to question of the meaning of death and life as a whole, and its meaning within art. And that's why the question is about immortality that can be attained through art history. Do you think about this? And it's interesting to learn about your attitude to this
What
possibility of immortality.
You know what I like about the Russians? They're always so deep and so melodramatic and so melancholic, and we always, this very much Slavic soul, which I'm part. We are so tragic, and we always think about universe and there is lots of sadness, and this is why there's such a beautiful literature and films and art come from this part of the world. Of course I think about mortality. When I was 17 years old, my first birthday, I started crying like crazy. When I was 17, and I was thinking, why I'm crying? Because I just hit me that I'm going to die. That actually now I'm 17, but one day I'm going to die and everything will stop existing. So I think about that every single day, because I understand that every time you think about that, you can actually enjoy life better, because you have to cut bullshit of your life. You have to concentrate on this really matters, and the life can stop any minute, any second. I mean, right now we are talking, and the asteroid can fall on this entire planet, and we stop existing. So to me, what is immortality? I think the art have very, very big chance for immortality, because we are not talking about every art, but the good work of art, who have layers and layers of meaning, that every society can take something what he needs, have a long life, and that can actually reach mortality. And that's it. Not us. We are disposable. We just we are there. Life, and then we die, and that's what is left is what we leave behind. And to me, also, I'm interested in immateriality of immortality, because to me, if I think about really the most important, the art, and I create some kind of invisible pyramid, it's music. Music, if doesn't have the object between public and the recipient, it's immaterial. The music goes straight into your soul, wherever you are, and doesn't have a luggage to carry. It's not sculpture, it's not the painting, it's not a projector that you have to project the film. It doesn't have any of this. Just sound goes everywhere. And then after this, to me, the big chance for immortality is performance, and then everything else. Yeah, but I'm a performance artist. What I can do, I make my own criterion. But immortality it's really goes through the viewer and 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 through the memory and through intensity of the artwork that is left behind, you know. So I like the performance because it's so immaterial, because it's nothing to catch, to touch. It's just there, and then it's all about emotions and memory. Okay. Yeah.
Спасибо. В таком случае я, если позволите, перейду к следующему вопросу.
Thank you. We have more questions here in the chat from Maria Dunaeva. Marina, if you weren't an artist, what would you do? And what would you be? Have you ever thought about that at all? What do you think about people who do art as a hobby? And it is up to them to choose, actually, whether to put everything into art or to share their time between work and art. And an additional question, is being an artist difficult? And a separate thank you, because of your art, I visited Belgrade. Thank you for that.
3 questions, my dear. I'm just counting as the 3 questions. You know, first of all,
Давайте, может быть, про хобби остановимся, потому что...
Maybe we can begin with a question about art as a hobby. Like, can we do art as a hobby at all? Is it possible? Or do you think one needs to choose whether doing art full-time or giving up on art?
I'm not so happy with the Sunday painters who have, you know, weekends to do the art. I don't believe in this. It's not real. Because first of all, to be an artist is like you have DNA of being an artist. You have to be possessed. You have to have fever. You have a temperature. You have to be completely like crazy about what you want and love with the full heart and sacrifice everything. Then you're really artist and you come with ideas every morning. So you don't have time to be in hobby. You're full-blood artist because there's no time for hobby. But the people, if they're working with whatever the daily job, and there's not enough for them, then they like to, I don't know, knit or do the needlework or do paintings or watercolors. I mean, it's fine if this additional hobby satisfies the way how they see art, how they see not art, how they see life. It's very important not to compromise in your life. I would like to turn this question in a different way. What really makes you heart, you know, open and loving? That's what you have to do. And if it's the job you're doing, but if you then do this job fully. But if your job is not exactly, you know, satisfying and you do art, you're compromising between two. You're not doing anything with full heart. So it's more a question of what you really want to do in your life and do it. You know, life is very short and we spend so much time in choosing. We like this and if we don't like that, then we like this and we change. It's more about decision making before, you know. And then you say, okay, I like the job I like, but not that much. And I like to also to do some painting, but not that much. And if you're satisfied with these 2 things in your life, that's fine. But you have to be satisfied. You should not always search for something that doesn't fulfill you. You know, there is this woman, a Japanese woman called Kondo, whatever, I don't remember the name. She has this thing that she comes to your apartment and then she chooses the clothes, you have too much clothes. She chooses the clothes that you have to throw away or 2 objects that you have to throw away and actually clean your apartment. So it's a big deal here in the West. And how she chooses the things, I like very much. She would take the little piece of t-shirt in front of you, like your old t-shirt that you have maybe 30 years, look at you and she say, okay, if this piece of t-shirt actually make joy in your heart, if you really create the joy, you look at the t-shirt, you forgot that you have it. You say, no, that's right away. So she called every object, if this glass of water really create joy, you don't take the glass away. So this is how you have to investigate your life, what really create the joy, and everything else take it out. Because then you are going to essence. And what is that one? Work in Belgrade and be an artist, don't try it, it's hell. It's so difficult. You know, to me, I am now 50 years of my career that finally the performance art is accepted as a main form of art. Took me 50 years. You know, if anybody wants to do this, you know, good luck. I'm stubborn and I have kind of crazy willpower, and I did it, but it's not easy. It was very hard life, really. But I have to tell you, I'm on the other side now. Now I'm enjoying it. But that's, you know, 50 years later.
Следующий вопрос. Как
The
вы
next question in the chat is, what is your attitude to global museums using performance as a kind of accompanying program to their exhibitions, not as a kind of art in itself? What do you think about such performances?
You know, the performance came a long way. We are talking about performance in the 70s when we had 10 people audience, 20, 30 was huge. We are talking now that I had the global presence with WeTransfer of 120 million people. We are talking that the performance art is opening in the museums, and we are talking about biennales of performance. We are talking the performance have much more possibilities than ever before. It's a pioneering step, and we have to encourage this. It's not enough with this pioneering step. I mean, I also have to tell you that when I done Artist is Present, I was the only one in Museum of Modern Art in that time. There's never been ever performance in that scale. But in the same time, Tino Segal, another performance artist, was in a museum. So in two major museums in the world, that was only performance. This never happened. And so we have to be patient and we have to give a chance to performance. And it's easy to criticize, but we came a long way.
Я часто вижу в чате, что часто повторяются вопросы про...
I see a lot of questions about the pandemic in the chat. Actually, questions about the pandemic, love, and inspiration. I'm not sure if we have time for all three, but maybe...
What is the pandemic question?
Да, как изменился перформанс в условиях пандемии?
How did the performance art change during the pandemic and in the post-pandemic time? The audience here says that maybe performance became a kind of entertainment, digital entertainment. Now, as we have different technologies, including VR, what are your observations?
You know, the technology is there. We can't change it. And I think that I personally hate Zoom performances because picture is bad and always it's just kind of bad quality. And I don't believe in this. And plus, I didn't see any good performance with the Zoom. But I think in digital platform like WeTransfer really have a chance because I introduced their Abramovic method that actually public can perform and have experience themselves. And I think right now it's not a performance change. It's just that we have to wait till epidemic is gone, that we can have performance as always, because performance need live audience, and we was not able to have one. And I don't like to compromise. I just wait. This is why my show in Royal Academy is postponed to 2023, because I believe in 2023 I could have live audience, and then I will do it. So if you have to wait a little bit, wait, but don't compromise. A part of this epidemic was very interesting experience. For many people, it was catastrophic, difficult. You know, for me, it was absolutely wonderful because artists need isolation and need solitude. I was planting the trees in the countryside, and I've never been more in the country in my life than this time. And I could read the books I didn't have time to read. I could concentrate on thinking of the work, on solitude, swimming in the river. You know, nature is a big teacher. So for me, it was really important. But, you know, I can't say that was very easy for the family who have maybe 2 rooms and 5 kids to live at the same time and have restrictions to go anywhere. That must be horrible. But artists always have some kind of solitude and isolation possibilities. So I think for artists it was much easier than for other human beings, this isolation, because people are very afraid to be alone. And for an artist, to be alone is a condition to work. About love, Where is love there? You say question about love. What is the question?
Собственно, он короткий. Я думаю, что мы...
It's very short, actually.
Well, love is always a question. Tell me.
Что такое любовь? Что такое любовь для вас?
What is love for you?
Everything. Love is one of the most important human emotions. With love starts everything. Honestly, if the human being is not able to love, there's such a sadness, you know. And love, you know, love always brings suffering, and we should not be afraid of suffering. Suffering is also wonderful. Love and suffering goes together because love is never forever. Comes, goes, and then comes suffering. And then you should not close yourself. You should open yourself as much for love, as much for suffering, learn from this, and go to fall in love again. Love is everything. I have advice for the young artists. I made a manifesto, and I always said in my manifesto, never fall in love with another artist. I've done 3 times, but I'm not doing it now. There's never good fall in love with other artists. Always create disaster endings for so many reasons. And don't do this.
Хорошо, мы примем к сведению. Итак,
Okay, we'll definitely remember that. Let's take a penultimate question. What inspires you now? And have your sources of inspiration changed throughout your lifetime?
Yes, you know, I was in the beginning, I was very inspired by just the limits of human body and what it means. I will go to the operations and see how they cut the body, how they put the body together, how far I can go with my body. And then, you know, I done lots of work and to learn about this. And then after that, I was so interested in the mind, because mind is totally unknown territory. With physical body, it's much easier to learn than mind. You know, we believe that we use 30% of the brain. Scientists say that's not true, that we only use 20%. And the mind is like ocean of unknown. So to me, exploring mind, it's another very large journey. And in the beginning, my inspiration was very much East cultures, which I can learn how to use the body in a better way. I can learn from the Tibetans, from Aborigines, from shamans, from the Indonesians, from the very old ancient cultures who actually use the body the way that Western culture doesn't, because we are completely into technology and we don't develop telepathy. We just have a new telephone, you know, with us. And so I was interested in that. And then more and more, I really kind of focus on nature and how to actually learn from nature and how to learn about energetic spots with the trees and the current of the waterfalls and mountains and the volcanoes and top of the hills, you know, to understand how everything works, that we actually belong on this planet and how we are interactive and interconnected with animals, rocks, and everything else. So this is where I am now. That's the most important learning for me, because I'm never really interested in other artists, because I like to have as a friends. I love good work. As you see, I show you so much interesting work, but other artists are always interested about something else. Why I should be interested through the second hand when I can go to the source? Artists should always go to the source.
Вы знаете, у нас есть один слушатель.
You know, there is one listener here who visited all the meetings in the cycle with all the artists, and he asked one and the same question to all the speakers, and I'm going to ask it of you. How can one become a famous and successful artist? And I'd like to add, especially if the artist is not from the so-called first world countries. And is there a problem about this? How to work with this? Is there a problem of exotification of the experience of such artists, not from the first world?
No, when I was 70, I wrote the book, Walking Through the Walls, which is also translated in Russia. I would like him very much to read this book, because this answer is in this book. I feel that when I was 70, I needed to write this book as inspiration to many artists coming from East Bloc, like I did, from coming to the countries who are not on any kind of, the view of the art world, and see how I did it, and to give a literally inspiration to others, that if I did it, they can do too. It was such a difficult road. I come from the time when performance was ridiculous in my country, when my father and mother was question party meeting what kind of education I got, that I want to be put in mental hospital, that everything, all my early work was ridiculous. Now that early work from my country is in major book of art performances as a good work. I think that one thing that coming from that kind of country that I came, we have to try harder than anybody else. We have to be better. We have to have more interesting ideas. We have to do things that no one of them doing it. When I came to New York, I came with the 3 performances, and these 3 performances changed everything for me. And the one performance was literally sitting on the chair and doing nothing, absolutely nothing. But that sitting on the chair was just not doing nothing. It was 3 months doing nothing, and 3 months, 8 hours with absolutely not moving. So nobody can do that. I mean, till now, nobody did it. I tried that for 3 hours and see what it means 3 months. And it's very important to really have willpower, dedication, and the vision, what you wanted to achieve in your life. And that thing should be so incredibly strong that nothing can change. And for me, I fight for the performance 50 years. And now I'm end of this month, 75. And now I can relax because I achieve what I want. But it was not, my aim was never to be famous or to have money. I was never something that was something in my list as a first. My aim was to create great art, to create new art, to create something which is transformative, something that the public can connect, to lift human spirit. That was my aim. If any student come to me and say, I want to be famous and rich, I send him home. This is for me the not true reason to be an artist. This is false reason. And if the money and fame comes with that, that's fine. But it so many times doesn't come in your lifetime. But the war continues, and war can speak for centuries after that. And it's with the like in America, it was very interesting for me. I came as a nobody. I made work. People recognize this work. The Americans love to actually discover you. So it was a huge good critics, and everybody wanted to see me. And then I become the celebrity. But they put me there on that, the journalists and the media. I was not my something that I want to. And then they start trashing you that you're too celebrity. They start criticize you because you're a celebrity. But you don't need to care about this. I didn't care about bad criticism 70s. I don't care about criticism now. I only think what for me is important is when I perform, not what other people are going to think about. I am only interested that I can give my 150% to the public. And if I don't give, I know it was not good. And no, any criticism good criticism, bad criticism can change that feeling of failure that I have in myself. But when I do 150%, they can do whatever they want. I know it was everything I could give. Beethoven, when he made Fifth Symphony, the criticism said it was the worst piece of music ever made. Eiffel Tower, when it was built, they said it was terrible. Construction could be destroyed in Paris. Revolutionary things have always 2 sides. People love and hate. But you making work not for the money and not for being famous, that comes as a side effect. This was my answer.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot for answering these questions, for giving us advice, and of course for your lecture. We'd like to thank your team.
I know the time expired, but I wanted to answer one more question, something very unusual that you chose. but I've never been asked before. Choose something. Something interesting, Russian. Come on. You're inventive humans. Can be simple, can be complicated, can be very personal, can be anything. I'm giving you the white card.
Но в целом,
Well, as a whole, we've got this one coming question about your attitude.
The buses now anymore. Okay, I'm there.
так, секундочку.
Just a moment. I'm picking a question out of what we've got. We had this very interesting question from one of the viewers. It might be surprising for you. What if you were not...
It is not easy to surprise me. I am very...
Давайте попробуем.
Let us try to surprise you. So, what if you were not Marina Abramovic and you met Marina Abramovic? For example, in a queue at a dentist's surgery, what would you say? Or how would you behave meeting Marina Abramovic? We had several questions about this particular turn of events. What if you were another person, but met yourself?
Depends in which part of my life I meet Marina Abramovic. Young Marina Abramovic, where she was so insecure and incredibly, shy. The Marina Abramovic when she was, a warrior and thinking that she can do anything, and she was like, kind of on the top of the world. Marina Abramovic, when she really understood the meaning of life. Marina Abramovic, who now is really a kind of very friendly and very happy Marina Abramovic. Which one of these? There are all many different ones. Which one I should meet? This is the thing. I will be different, because I really think that the heroic Marina, I will be afraid of her because she was kind of tough. And I think this Marina Abramovic now, I will kind of enjoy. I think I would like to have a cup of coffee and talk about simple things with her. This Marina Abramovic now is knitting shawls for his friends for the Christmas, because I like the idea of knitting, which is crazy, nobody see me knitting. I even make the interviews with me knitting, because when you knit a shawl for the friend, you spend time, but also you give him something that he wear around his neck and show you love and appreciation. And the friends can choose the color of the shawl they wanted to have. So I did till now about 8 shawls, 8 friends. And that Marina, I think I would like to meet now. We could talk about knitting, everyday life. Not to be impressed like, wow, Marina, whatever, big star Marina. No, simple one, everyday one. I love cooking. I use lots of garlic. Maybe I will ask, to peel some garlic for me, and we cook together.
Мне кажется, это замечательный
I
ответ.
think it's a great answer. And I think it's even more than just an answer to the question, what if you were another person and met yourself? Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
And how many viewers we have right now as we speak?
Я точной цифры не могу.
I can't say exactly. I think we will be able to see it only after the fact, but I think that we had about 2,000 viewers.
Really? That's a seriously lots of viewers. To all my viewers, I'm very happy.
Да, притом,
Anyway, I'm just very happy.
да, притом из разных городов. Да, из разных городов России.
Yes, they were from various cities across Russia, Nizhny Novgorod, Tomsk, and so on, not just Moscow and St. Petersburg, other regions as well, across the whole country. And we're really grateful that you were able to find time for us, because in other time zones across Russia, it might be late in the night or early in the morning. I'd like to thank you for joining us here, and I'd like to thank our viewers for being here. I'd like to thank the interpreters, and I'd like to thank all the organizers, The recording of this meeting will be uploaded on our YouTube channel, and everybody who were not able to join us today will be able to see it in the recording, comment in the comment section. And I'd like to say that this cycle of meetings will continue. So if our viewers want to meet anybody else in this cycle, we would be happy to see your suggestions. And now I'd like to thank Marina Abramovic on behalf of the whole staff of our high school. Thank you for this open and frank discussion and a great lecture. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much, and I'm really enjoying it. And I will look on YouTube to see about viewers, and I will also interested to see all your other lectures from the the people you are doing it, because your program is pretty interesting and wonderful. Thank you. I'm leaving now. Bye.
Спасибо огромное. До
Thank
свидания.
you. Goodbye.